Hey, Coach Gurney here. Thank you for taking the time to watch this little review video on my YouTube channel or Facebook page or Instagram or wherever you found it here. Today we're going to review the Swing Caddie Divot Mat. There's a few of these all out there now. There's two major brands, this one and another one. What they pretty much do is very simple. You stand there, you put the ball in the dot, you hit, and as you come down, it makes a mark as to where the club hit the ground. So you can learn a few things. You can learn where you struck the golf ball, as far as strike location, which is super handy. You can see where your swing direction was, which is a little different to club path. And we'll go into that with the Trackman. We've got the TPS open, so we'll hit some balls on the Trackman and show you the difference between those and what it all means. And also it gives you some idea as to where the angle, well, not necessarily angle of attack, but it certainly gives you some idea of the low point, which should always be after the ball. And the best way, obviously, to see that low point is going to be when you do make a divot, where kind of the middle of that divot is generally the kind of the low point, for the lack of a better term. So even if you're looking to enter or hit the mat starting somewhere around here, not way back there because it's way too soon, somewhere around here and through. You could obviously start it here, but somewhere in that Goldilocks zone there as far as low point goes. So what we'll do is we're going to whack a few balls. Oh, and before we even do that, I mean, this is not my first one of these I've had. I did buy one last year from China, a little cheap one, in an attempt to give it a go. It was a dreadful waste of money. You definitely do get what you pay for in this space. The old $30, $40 ones don't seem to do much. They kind of break, well, they don't give you very clear feedback. Of the two, I do like this one in the fact that it's got that extra bit of thick padding there, so you can actually literally drop it on concrete and just whack away without destroying your wrists too much. Whereas the other competitors generally are a little thinner, pop it on a mat. It's nice and flat on the mat. This one is a little raised, which kind of makes it a little weird. Feel like the ball's above your feet a touch, but I don't know. In reality, where's there ever a flat bit of land? You could obviously cut out a little bit of your range mat or put it on the ground next to your range mat to make it the same height. But yeah, there's pros and cons with that. In the box it comes with, there's a couple of little anti-skid things going on there, which are super handy. Without that, the mat's very slippery and slides everywhere. It also comes with a little hook and cable that you can cable it down so it doesn't go flying off into the abyss as a second option too, if you were in the unlikely event to hit a heavy shot. So let's whack a few, show you what the data looks like compared to what the mat tells you, and what benefits it can have, if any. Let's dive in and see what it does. So, come over here, attempt to line this up as best as possible. The Trackman is lined up down the zero line on the putting mat in front of me, the well putt mat. And we'll pop the ball right in the middle spot, probably a glove coach. That's a good idea. And we will attempt to hit, let's go with my stock shot. We'll draw these days. All right, here we go. See what happens. Okay, that's a pretty good move. All right, zero swing direction, full path. Angle of attack, 5 down, low point, 10 centimeters after the ball. So that shot looks like this in the air, a little, it's quite a sexy little high draw. Not too shabby. And this is what it looks like here on the divot mat. So you can see the divot looks straight. That actually is a pretty zero-ish swing direction at 0.7. Now, swing direction is a little bit different to path. Swing direction is kind of it's a radar system, ability to be able to look down the target line, pick up the club early, and it's where the club's traveling, especially in this case, after impact. At impact, it's going 5 degrees or 4 degrees into out, and then post-impact, it's at the lowest point of the swing, the path, well, the lowest point 10 centimeters after the ball, which is here in the middle of the divot, swing direction 0. Now that it's probably way too much physics for most players, but in general, if your divot on the grass when you're playing golf is dead straight, your path is not 0. Just as a heads up, your path is actually slightly into out. Okay? So if you have straight divots, you're going to hit a draw. You never really, if your divot is actually going out to the right, that's a serious into out. Like it's a big swoopy hook. I can hit one and show you one of those, but I'll actually do that right now. Let's see what happens. Let's have a bit of a laugh. Line it up, ball on the spot, and let's hit a slinger, right? Oh, nice. It was such a big slinger, it was outside the realms of what Trackman even wanted to see. Okay. Let's hit a 20-meter drill. Okay. So, here's the divot that's going, as you can see, here's the flag. It's going out to the right. The actual path is now 10 degrees, swing direction's 8. So that looks like this in the air. It's a lot bigger hook or bigger draw. Not a bad draw, actually, it's pretty good, but it's a much more obvious draw. When you got this divot working out to the right of target, you've got a big draw, little draw, and then a straight shot is actually when the divot works slightly to the left. There's actually a zero path. Shall we attempt that? Yeah, let's attempt that. I've kind of even spoken about the whole impact location thing, but we'll get to that in this next one as well. So we will attempt to do the impossible and have a zero swing path in a slightly thus negative swing direction. Okay. Little toey, I think, but yeah, ooh, 0.4. Good work, buddy. Swing direction is negative 2.6. There you go. Central strike, a little high toe. So there we go. So now you can see the divot went straight and then worked a little bit off to the left. And if we zoom in on it, we can see here the club coming down off a little toey. Felt a little toey. Boom. Little toey over here. So you can see you're going to get that feedback from this as to that's where the divot is. It was a little toey. Unfortunately, the specifications that I've plugged in edit the actual size of the heads that I've got here are not my clubs. Why wouldn't you have your own clubs in there? I know. It's just a generic. My club heads are a little smaller than the stock ones that I have put in there, so that's why the slight, but for me, it felt like quite a big toe strike. Right there feels it doesn't look as toey as what TM's telling us. But so yeah, the mat definitely tells you, boff. Now, low point, 5 down. Lowest point was about 10 centimeters after the ball. You can see here, entered there, felt a little heavy this one actually, but entered way back there. The divot ended there, so the low point was after the ball, which is key. So this is giving you that feedback as to where the lowest point is. And if it starts somewhere just before this line, it's okay. If it starts way back here, we're in trouble. You'll actually be hitting up on the golf ball. Let's have a nudge at that. Let's try and do a scoop-a-doop. And then we can try a cut too after. But let's see what this looks like. So we will attempt to add some loft or impact, not have forward shaft lean. Stay on the back. Do everything kind of wrong. So kind of little cast it move. See if it tells us what we're doing. Oh, there she goes. No face angle to record, Tracky. I agree. It's terrible when you hit the ground first. So, 3 up on it. Low point was 7-8 centimeters before the ball. So now we can see the divot ended here. Not good. Started somewhere way the hell back there. In the middle of the divot was, surprise, surprise, about, look at that, 8 centimeters before the ball. So that is certainly, the mat's telling you big time what's going on. Path was still positive. But you can see my swing direction was still pretty good, but it was obviously hitting up on it. So by the time the low point was still out to the right, don't worry about that. But you can see here, I certainly hit the mat first. It told me all about it. It was terrible. Let's hit one where we start, let's hit a fade before we do a low one. And see what the fade divot looks like. Just so you can see that. Remember, if the divot is to the right, It's really into out, like a big draw. The divot's straight, it's a little draw. The divot goes just a fraction left, it's actually a zero path or a straight shot. And then if the divot goes a long way left, let's play a little fade. There we go. Swing direction gets way left. Path a little left. I would assume it's kind of a functional fade. Yeah, it's not bad. It's a pretty good nice little cut there. So that's what that looked like right there. So you can see now the divot is going left a lot. Not a bad thing if you're trying to play a cut. Right pretty much in the middle of those two there. So strike location, as you can see, was pretty much dead central. Look in the video. Pretty much dead central. And you can see here how the club's working a long way left. Divot Mat's telling you, hey, you're cutting the golf ball. So you can literally have practice swings at home and actually learn. Because remember, practice without feedback is just exercise. And it's always frustrating from a coaching perspective when you have clients and you need to kind of come back and you're like, have you been practicing the path? Have you been working on this? You know what you're doing? You've been getting better. And they don't really know, and they kind of frustrated to themselves. So this is a great tool that you can go literally have your 20 to 40 swings a day and actually see, am I doing the right movements? You can obviously hit golf balls off it, which is great. But you can hit plastic balls, foam balls. You can just have practice swings. And just in a practice swing, you can stand there and swing and go, oh, look, I got the low point right. I got the path good. I got my center of strike good. You got that little dot to look at, to aim at. So at least you're aiming at something, getting feedback of some kind. Very, very beneficial. Let's hit one a bit later. Let's get that divot a bit later and see what happens. So for me, there'd be a little bit more. If I'm going to move that low point later, I'm going to move the ball a little further back in my stance. My tendency is to get a little bit underneath and have a bit of a high draw. So if I move the ball a little further back, narrow stance, basically a flighted shot as if I was playing into the breeze. So a little back, see what it goes. So it should definitely be a lower launch. Very good. Cool. A little low sweepy draw. Good. And voila. So again, divot looks pretty straight, 1 degree to the right. That means the path is into out. 8 down, low point way later, 16 centimeters. So you can see here the divot started pretty much at the ball. So it was way steeper, later, low point, ball flight wise, steeper and later low point, lower launch, lower draw. You compare that look to, say, this higher draw over there. You can see the little differences going on there. So again, great feedback. You can tell, okay, this is going to be a lower flight, lower shot. It's a low draw. It's going to be the high draw for here. And you can learn a lot as you're swinging. So as far as a product goes, I think this is pretty bloody helpful. In New Zealand dollars, it's about 139, 140 odd New Zealand bucks. So it's way cheaper, obviously, in US dollars and the British pound. Only, what would be the only catch with it? I think the only thing of it is probably that it's a little above the ground, which is easily solved, or you're going to get used to it. But at least you got something you can stand on something too, or put it, like I said, on a lower thing. The paint things, they do kind of scratch off over time, definitely, but not so much that they become unusable, even to the point where, you know, you're not really all that worried about all these lines. They're just kind of giving you some idea. The big thing is this cover here seems to last surprisingly well for several hundred beaten golf shots, even if you're coming in a bit steep and left or what have you. It's surprisingly robust as a product. So I think if you are someone that wants to practice at home or learn what you're doing when you're doing it, certainly if you're a beginner, or if you haven't got if you only get to hit with range mats and stuff, again, this is brilliant because range mat won't give you feedback like a grass divot will. So if you're trapped in those environments, this is indoors or on a mat or anything like that, this is absolutely a spectacular training tool and can definitely help your improvement. So yeah, more than happy to recommend this little bugger. She's very useful. All right, I hope you found that beneficial. Any questions, please chuck them in the comments below. I'm more than happy to have a yarn about it. And yeah, I've got literally a a studio full of different bits and pieces to have a look at. But if there's a particular training aid or whatever you want me to have a look at, just, again, pop it in the comments below and let me know and say, hey, look, I'd like to have a look at this, like a lag shot that's coming, or a pressure mat of some kind, or a different type of golf ball or a club or whatever. More than happy to have a look at it and have a bit of fun with it and give you my honest feedback on it. All right, thanks for your time. Ciao.